At Aqua's Pickering East treatment facility, there's no shortage of water.
It's a 15 million gallon per day plant.
But before any of that ever gets here, it's filtered through an extensive treatment process.
With a coagulant, with the chlorination for disinfection and filtration, corrosion control, pH adjustment.
Kurt Steffi, the vice president of production for Aqua, says water samples are tested at least 12 times a day and monitored during each step of the filtration and treatment process.
We're under very, very strict parameters by regulators, but we meet and exceed those goals as well.
That's due in part to automated machines like this.
Our goal is a tenth, and now we're at 0.02.
Which constantly provide measurements like chlorine levels. If the numbers hit higher than they should,
it'll alarm, it'll alert the operator comes and investigates immediately.
With all those safeguards in place, city leaders in Philadelphia recognize the water that serves our region can't be compared to that of Flint, Michigan.
I know our water department is viewed as one of the best water departments in the nation.
Still, Councilman Derek Green says the city can be proactive. Philadelphia officials are now taking steps to make sure similar problems don't happen here. On Thursday, city council members approved a resolution that would schedule hearings to explain how water is tested in Philadelphia.
I do have concerns that we do have an old city, and we do have some properties that do have either lead pipe or lead components.
No word yet on when those city council hearings will be held. Reporting in Phoenixville, Anita O, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
How often do you pay attention to a sidewalk? For 49 years, thousands have walked up and down this South Philly sidewalk, but many have no idea what happened here on July 15, 1966. A plaque honoring a 29-year-old Philadelphia police officer named George Jacobs sits just a few feet from South Philadelphia High School. Jacobs was on the job only a few weeks when he was shot and killed on Snyder Avenue near Broad Street.
When I heard he got killed, that really tore me apart.
Retired police officer Joe Haggerty worked with George Jacobs and remembers July 15, 1966 vividly. All these years later, he's never met his friend's killer.
I wouldn't want to, because I think I'd have killed him myself.
Haggerty told Eyewitness News the pain rushed back this week when he found out that someone spray painted Jacobs' plaque.
You didn't hear me, did you? I called him a very nice name.
The relationship between Haggerty and Jacobs started in the early 1940s in South Philly when George Jacobs showed little Joe how to play baseball.
I loved the man ever since then.
Haggerty says the two continued to develop a friendship, but a conversation one night at work still haunts him.
I regret one thing. I said, George, the only thing this job will get you is killed. And I regret that ever since.
I spoke to FOP President John McNesby, who called the vandalism disgraceful. He said members of the FOP and police department worked together to repair this marker. Thousands more will pass this plaque in the years to come, and many won't even know it's there. But Joe Haggerty hopes someone will take just a few seconds to read about his buddy, who died on the job half a century ago.
He was a good guy, and he had a chance to help somebody do something, and he would help you out.
In South Philadelphia, David Spunt, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
96 years young.
Friday night was the big one, not because it was David Cunahan's 96th birthday.
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you!
But because he made it back to see his Phillies play in person for the first time in years. David Cunahan was born August 28, 1919, about a month before shoeless Joe Jackson made history during the famous World Series scandal. Cunahan started his obsession with baseball 80 years ago.
I would say around 1935.
Cunahan went on to serve in World War II, never losing his love for the team. He was at Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked in December of 1941. He's just one of a few Pearl Harbor and World War II veterans still alive.
I'm glad to be one, rather than not be one, if you know what I mean.
When the game started airing on television, he tuned in. But there's just something about being at the stadium in person.
Very lucky, very fortunate.
Cunahan joined two other residents from Neshaminy Manor in Warrington, where he currently lives.
What's going on?
I'm no score, is there? I was there.
We got 2 men on.
That's his son David, who joined his dad for the big game.
He would always say to me, "Are the Phillies on, Dave?" And I would kid him and say, "I don't know, you know." I'd say, "Yeah, they're on." So we'd have to put the Phillies on.
Cunahan says he'd like to come back more, How could he not want to after this appearance on the big screen in front of thousands?
I planned, but I hope I make it.
David Cunahan and his two friends came thanks to Twilight Wish. It's a local nonprofit aimed at fulfilling senior citizens' specific dreams. Reporting at Citizens Bank Park, David Spunt, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
When the sky withholds, homeowners have their lawns to worry about. For Emma Cuniff, it's her livelihood.
I love growing lettuce. I'm from California. I love growing lettuce.
We met on Harvest Day at Lehigh Farm in Lehigh County, which is land leased by Cuniff herself through the Seed Farm Sharing Program. The sky has given just about a quarter of the rainfall it should have by now.
It was cold and wet really late into the season and then got really hot and dried up.
The need for water is what drove her to leave drought-ridden California.
It was just continuing to get worse and worse. I left, 3 or 4 years ago, and they were already deep into the drought.
Now, we are not at an emergency status right now. The last time our area was back in 2002. But the driest year, now that was back in the 1920s and coincided with the Kansas Dust Bowl.
Cuniff is an organic farmer and won't use pesticides, making the lack of rain even tougher.
Because we can't just spray for bugs, and the bugs are really attracted to stressed out plants.
And that presents a challenge.
The irrigation, this drip line right here, is pumped up through a line that comes from the pond.
She set up an irrigation pump system that could get in the way of plowing, but could also save her first crop as a career farmer. Here at Lehigh, volunteers help pick and perhaps even pray for rain. Reporting in Lehigh County, Alexandria Hoff, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.